Most fighters believe power comes from strength. Again, it doesn't. It comes from order. Chapter 2 of the Biomechanics of Combat Art exists to dismantle one of the most persistent errors in training: the belief that force is produced by individual muscles simply working harder. That belief has stalled more fighters than poor technique ever has. Muscles do not generate power in isolation. They manage and direct force that already exists in the system. When they fire out of sequence, power collapses. When they fire in correct order, force expresses cleanly. This chapter is not about getting stronger. It's about accessing your strength you already possess. Most training isolates muscles. Combat never does. A punch is not an arm action. A kick, it's not a leg action. A throw is not a hip action. Every meaningful movement is a chain. Force begins at the ground and travels through the body in sequence before it ever reaches the target. When one segment fires too early, or too late, or too aggressively, the entire system compensates to stay upright and moving. Compensation is not adaptation. It's evidence that order has broken down. Chapter 2 exposes how compensation hides inside effort. The harder you try, the more sequence errors are disguised. Secondary muscles rush in to rescue the primary failures. Power feels present, but efficiency disappears. Fatigue rises faster, timing slips, and stress accumulates quietly. This is why strong athletes often gas early under live resistance. This is why movement that looks devastating in a gym loses impact in real exchanges. And this is why repetition without understanding leads to nowhere useful. The body does not recruit muscles equally. It prioritizes, suppresses, and sequences them based on demand. That hierarchy is not optional. It is built into how the nervous system organizes movement. When training ignores it, it performs in fragments. Chapter 2 brings order to that fragmentation. It reframes muscle activation as coordination, not contraction. Power emerges when muscles fire in relationship to one another. The strongest muscle in the chain is irrelevant if it activates the wrong moment. Timing governs everything. Consider a throw, a strike, a sprint. Force does not appear all at once. It builds as segments load and release in sequence. When that order is intact, output feels effortless. When it's disrupted, effort increases and results degrade. A structure that can bear force, as established in Chapter 1, still fails if activation is mistimed. Strength without sequencing becomes resistance against yourself. This chapter makes that visible. You will see why isolation training produces unreliable output under pressure. You'll recognize why effort-heavy movement deteriorates fastest when the condition's worse. You'll understand why some fighters appear calm, yet hit harder, last longer, and recover faster. They're not stronger. They're just better organized. Chapter 2 also exposes the cost of getting it wrong. Every compensation shifts load elsewhere. Every delayed activation demands correction. Every correction taxes the nervous system. Over time, that cost appears as a chronic injury, hesitation, or a loss of control when the stakes are high. This is not philosophical, it's mechanical. The warrior scholar does not chase power. They protect sequencing. They allow the correct muscles to fire at the correct time, so force can travel cleanly from the ground to the expression. Chapter 2 trains that lens. It teaches you to recognize where activation fails, where compensation begins, and why adding effort rarely solves the problem. It replaces muscle worship with system literacy. If Chapter 1 asked whether your structure can bear force, Chapter 2 asks a sharper question. Can your system access that structure when speed rises, fatigue sets in, and pressure mounts? Most cannot. This is why this chapter matters. Power does not belong to the strongest limb. It belongs to the system that fires in order.